Dear guests, and let's start our session. And this time we're talking about car sharing concepts. We'll have a number of foreign speakers here today, and we also have some Russian experts. Moscow Transport has been developing dynamically for the last 5 years, and car sharing project is one which is quite successful in Moscow. But today, not only will we be talking about the success and about the expansion of the car fleet, we will talk about other parameters indicating the quality of that project. We have Simon Brozel with us here today, Development Director of Share Now. We have Muhit Seydakhmetov, General Director of Delimobil. It's a car-sharing operator, and also General Director of Anytime. We have Vincent Carr, International Business Director of Renault Group, and we also have Loriana Sardrar, co-owner of Belka Car. And before we start our talk, let's ask Simon and Vincent give us some highlights about the companies which they represent. Simon, please, the floor is yours.
Nice to be here. I have to admit it's my first time in Moscow, and I'm really impressed by the energy, the professionalism, and the city itself. So that's a good start. I want to talk a little bit about Share Now. So Share Now is a joint venture between BMW and Daimler. It used to be two brands, Drive Now and Car2Go, and the companies decided to merge the activities globally. So, for us, what do? We do free-floating car sharing, as you guys know it also in Moscow. And for us, it really fits nicely into the mobility mix of a city. So it's not a competition to public transport or anything else. It's really an addition to the mobility mix in cities. People have many options. They can walk. If you're very lazy these days, you can take a micro scooter, which have been growing a lot. I know also here. And then you have all the different options that people can take, also depending on the willingness to pay. And for us, free-floating car sharing really sits in the middle. People can take it to go to work, to go shopping, to do all the other things they want to do in life when they need a car. So it's really an addition to the existing mobility mix in the cities. We're pretty big. In fact, we are the biggest car-sharing company in free-floating in the world. We are in 31 cities globally. Our focus so far is in Western Europe and North America. We have more than 4 million users worldwide, and we have more than 20,000 vehicles that we operate. We have all kinds of vehicles, BMWs, Mercedes, Smarts, Minis, all different vehicles for different use cases in urban areas. So the main point for us really is to reduce car ownership. So you could say, well, that is weird because we are funded by BMW and Daimler. Why are you guys looking at reducing car ownership? But we really fundamentally believe that in order to make a city livable, we have to free up public space. So that's the most important point for us, to really free up public space for housing, for parks, for all the things that people enjoy. So we really want to reduce car ownership in cities. And the good news is, we know from our customers that many of them, almost 40%, that are really heavy car sharing users, they actually decide at some point to not buy a new car. They literally say, I don't need to buy a new car. I can rely on car sharing. I can rely on all the other modes of transportation. And this is exactly what we want. I myself just moved to Berlin from the US. And I had a big car in the US, like everyone in the US has a big car. And in Berlin, I really decided not to buy a car. I don't need one. We have more than 20 options in Berlin to get around, so I don't need a car, which is really great for many reasons. Another important aspect I want to mention for us is electric vehicles. So almost 20% of our fleet is already electric. So we have the small smart cars in some cities. We have the BMW i3, and we operate more than 3,000 vehicles, electric vehicles globally in the different cities. I can tell you it's not easy because you need to operate these fleets. They have not the range that a combustion vehicle has, so we have to touch the car more often to recharge it. And we also rely heavily on charging infrastructure, so this is why we need the cities to support us there as well. Maybe one sentence towards the future. We are already looking at autonomous fleets. Probably not next year, obviously, but let's say in 5 or 10 years, we will see more of these vehicles, and we have to already prepare for that age, because the moment we have autonomous fleets in the cities, it's really, really interesting for us, because we did some calculations and know that if we have autonomous cars, we can reduce our fleet by 50% in the cities and can still fulfill the same number of trips, which again is very efficient for us and very nice because it frees up public space. So we are really looking forward to what the autonomous age. Thank you.
Спасибо большое, Simon.
Thank you very much, Simon. And now I would like to give the floor to Vincent Carre from Renault Group.
Hello. Great pleasure to be with you once again in Moscow, and thanks a lot, Alexei, for your invitation that we appreciate a lot. So I wanted to complete the Zoom made by my colleague of Chernao, and you will see that we share the same preoccupations. So just to start, you know that Group Renault is one of the world leaders with our sister company Nissan in electric cars. And electric cars brought us to car sharing. So we are already the first provider of electric cars in car sharing in Western Europe. We have 7,000 electric cars in operation in 12 countries that we operate directly or through partners. And we choose today with Alexei to talk a little about our probably best operation, which is Madrid, with brand ZT. So in Madrid, what do? We operate a fleet which is 100% electric, as you understand, pure electric. We have 650 Renault Zoe, which is a car which is quite well adapted to car sharing in Western Europe, because it has a range of 300 kilometers, real range. And the next generation, arriving in September, has 400 kilometers real range. It's a car that is very compatible with car sharing. 3 big ideas for us behind this operation. Reduce the emissions, maybe you know, but in Western Europe now, all the big cities have entered in a program to fight against pollution. And so they authorize practically only electric car sharing. It's very complex to start some thermic car sharing in the cities now. The second thing, and we'll come back on this, we have the same perception than Simon, it is that really the car sharing is reducing congestion, because when you put cars in car sharing, you allow a lot of customers to get rid of their cars or not to buy a cars, and the proportion is well in favor of diminishing the congestion. We'll come back. And of course, car sharing, when it's well done, well organized, saves time for the customers. How does it work? We are in Madrid with a city which strongly supports car sharing. The parking is free for operators and customers. The cars are allowed to drive and park in the central area, which is the low emission zone of Madrid, which is half of the city. And the cars are authorized in some bus lanes from suburbs to city center, and there is also an access to airport. So it's not a classical car sharing like here in Moscow. The cars are collected in average every 3 days by jockeys when the autonomy is low. They are brought to 2 bases, charged, washed, which means the cars are always clean, because the quality of operation is really key, and we'll come back on that. What is very important, this is this quality of service. And maybe you heard about the Autolib experience in Paris, which is really a bad experience for everybody. The cars were on stations in the streets. They were practically washed once per month, so the quality was very poor. Here, the cars are washed globally every 3 days, and on demand. Each time a customer is complaining, we go and we wash the car. We have a 5-star quotation for each ride. That means that the customer, immediately after the ride, which is between 30 and 40 minutes, rates the ride, tells if something is not good so that we can modify before the next customer. And if a customer quotes the ride under 3 stars, we call him immediately to understand what is the issue. So it's the quality of service is mandatory for the operator and for the city image. This is a condition of success for car sharing. What we did in Madrid, the main figures, we started end 2017 to 50,000 users, which is a good development for car sharing in a Western city. It's smaller than in Moscow, of course. We have saved 1,500 tons of CO2 using only electric cars. And the most important is maybe on the right. We don't have exactly the same data than our colleague of Chernao, but we know that globally, in Madrid, 21% of customers have stopped buying the cars. In these 21%, 5%, so a quarter, sold their car. Okay, so it's, as you said, it's not very good for an automaker, these data, but it's the only way to reduce congestions and the footprint of the car in the cities. So it's unavoidable, and we choose to move forward in this direction. And I think this is all for me. Alexei, give you the floor.
Спасибо большое, Винсент. Очень приятно иметь
Thank you so much, Vincent. I'm delighted to see representatives of large car-sharing operators here on our stage today, and we can see a number of trends which are currently emerging in the car-sharing area, like electric vehicles, driverless vehicles, integration of car-sharing services into the public transport system. So I'd like to ask a question to a co-owner and co-founder of the largest car-sharing company here in Russia. Could you please comment on your strategy? Is it the same as our foreign colleagues have, or is it different? And who are your customers? Those who used to own their cars before, or those who used public transport? Okay, answering your first question regarding your driverless vehicles. I think our colleagues from Share Now are going in the right direction. In 3 or 5 years from now, I believe that driverless cars will dominate the market, and the ride-sharing and car-sharing and taxi service, well, all these three things will be merged together, because no matter how rough it sounds, but it's better for any taxi company to have cars without drivers, driverless cars. And once these driverless cars become more and more popular, there will be a huge overlap between the car-sharing and the taxi service. So I do hope that in Russia we'll be the second biggest company which will start operating driverless cars. So by next summer we expect to have a working prototype already. As far as business strategy is concerned, we have a different take on that. We studied experience of our colleagues from Europe. However, we have a more aggressive market strategy and pricing strategy. We have a more aggressive vision of this business, simply because we realized that before car sharing becomes a mundane service for our users, we need to bring the price of a shared car below that of a taxi. So we have to focus on minimizing our cost. We have to keep a very tight control on our operations, and we have to have all this in-house. And this is why car sharing is extremely popular in Moscow. I think in Moscow we have more than 24,000 vehicles, and we have more than 10,000 vehicles in 4 different countries, and we operate in 14 different cities, Prague included. So we have entered the Czech market, so I think that we will be competing with you pretty soon. Let's see how it goes. Thank you very much. And Loriana, I'd like to ask you the same question. What kind of challenges do you face in your work? Are you planning to aggressively compete with taxis? I agree with what Muhit said. In 5 or 10 years from now, we may argue about the time frame, yes, but car sharing business model and taxi business model will completely overlap. And so the question is, who is going to win this competition? Because both taxi business model and our business model, they have some shortfalls and some benefits. So strategy-wise, I think we are more conservative than other colleagues of us. We try to pick those cities which, based on the infrastructure and based on the number of the population, are ready to consuming car sharing services. So we start operating mostly in those cities. You asked us a question about our customers, who our customers are. Our customers are predominantly those people who used to have their own car before. So consumer of car sharing services is not the typical user of a public transport. These are mostly those people who used to have their own car, and they see a car sharing service as a proper alternative to having a car. But a large city has a diverse transportation structure, and the public transport user has a great variety of choice. Around 60% of our customers still own vehicles, or they have two vehicles in the family, but they are saying that in a year or two from now they're ready to give up the idea of buying the second car, or even just the next car.
So if several years ago we were talking about auto drivers and some public passengers, so all this car sharing, scooter sharing, and all these new kinds of mobility, so all these concepts are being blurred out a bit. So it doesn't matter whether you're a car driver or you're public passenger, a public transport passenger. So this difference is going away. So this direction will be developed more and more in the future. And the question goes, what will have in the future? So that's why I would like to ask this question to each of you. How can you see it besides autonomous transportation, besides electric transportation? So what kind of points of attention should we draw our attention actually to? So what kind of different transport means would you recommend to us? So we'll start with you.
Good question. If I knew the answer, I would be a rich man by now. But no, seriously, I think what we are seeing right now is very promising. We see a lot of players going into the market. I have more than 20 apps on my phone for the different players. So which is nice, but which is also very complicated. So I think moving forward there will be some sort of consolidation required, because also what we see, these business models look very interesting for the customers. It's very, very cheap sometimes to get around, but the economics are difficult for some of these players. So be it in bike sharing, be it in scooters, be it in car sharing. So the economics are not easy. And like my colleague said, the operational excellence is really, really key to provide services at a good cost in a very efficient way. So I expect that moving forward we see a little bit of consolidation in the market, especially in the scooters and in the bikes. And then in the end, in the target picture, I think people want to have options. If we really want to disrupt the mobility in the cities and really get rid of private car ownership, all these services need to be available and reliable. So I need to have the guarantee that when I open my app in the morning and I want to go to work, that there's always an option for me. And that I think needs to be the key, and we already see it in many cities. So some cities really have reached a tipping point, like we discussed, and I think the future will be many different players, many different options for different use cases, but a little bit more consolidated so that people don't need to have 20 apps on their phone, but maybe 3 or 4 or 5, because then it really gets more convenient.
Спасибо большое, Simon. Vincent?
Yes, so I think we are just at the beginning of the adventure. So we know now that car sharing is a good solution for cities, and Moscow is probably the city which has the most demonstrated it in the world. We are convinced that this mobility has to become electric quickly, because it's not a perfect technology. No technology is perfect, but it's the best one we have in hand to quickly decrease the pollution in the cities. So decrease pollution, decrease congestion. The arrival of autonomous cars is probably unavoidable, but it's a good thing. Huh? But the time frame, as said Loriana, has to be discussed. We will not replace exactly in the same way taxi and car sharing in the 10 coming years. It will be longer than that, I think. Of course, there will be autonomous cars before, probably autonomous shuttles, but today the technology is not at the level to replace exactly a taxi or a car-sharing car. So we have to be cautious about that. There's time in front of us to improve the car-sharing model and to make it, I would say, as clean as possible for the users and for the city inhabitants. And this is key also.
Спасибо большое. Мухит?
Да, если говорить о...
So if we speak about key factors of success of car sharing, I guess that we have several components of it. When we talk about flexible and understanding regulator, because in several cities we can see huge difference between the vision of regulators, vision of car sharing, and also the velocity, the speed of taking solutions for regulators is very important, because we face the situation in Europe when we wanted to invade some cities in our business direction. We had to spend a lot of time for it. So car sharing will be developed in such cities where we have advanced regulators, when they have the understanding of real use and role of car sharing. As for users, I guess that all the sharing economics brings us to one concept, is the concept of freedom. To be free from all these chains and yokes of ownerships, and to be free to use whatever you want and when you want. So, having said this, we're coming down to the third main concept, which will make car sharing successful one. So we have supply-driven niche. You see, this niche is very depending on the offers published in the market. So the more car sharing cars in the market, so the more sustainability comes to the niche of car sharing in the market. So if you know that you can find this car anywhere you want and whenever you want, so then you will think more and more of selling your own car. So that's why it's very crucial to give this opportunity of developing for car sharing sphere, for it not to fill the ceiling, you see? So you see, the same way as it was in Europe, it was growing so fast and everyone was afraid of it, but then consolidation comes. And so the same thing will be with car sharing. Yeah, it's rather interesting. Loriana, I will start from the point of view of clients. When we started dealing with this project, worldwide statistics said that if you would like to estimate car sharing market, so you can take 3% of the population, it will be your market. So then in 2012 they said 6%, in 2010, and now in many European cities we can see that it comes to 15% and more in some cities. So that's why where car sharing will be in 10 years, it's really difficult to answer as of now, because the demand for car sharing is growing so fast, faster than we suggested before. And what comes to the products, I guess that car sharing operators could be IT companies, first of all, because managing and administrating all these cars, to manage them effectively, it can be possible only if you have very good solution, IT solution. So that's why we can see two key directions. Dynamic price is the first one. It can help you out to direct cars where they are needed. So if we know the demand, so we'll be able to provide the car where it's needed, not to transport it to the place, but to see it. And then overall operational efficiency. So only when all the processes are automated, as my colleague said, only then we are able to have successful business, which will be not only large, but also profitable. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's rather interesting. So our discussions comes to the end, and I would like to thank our guests which have come to us and share their experience. Probably we'll have a chat after discussion, and we'll discuss some means what to use in Moscow. So thank you very much. Our session is over.